Hello everybody, it's Minghui again. Well, today we're going to be learning a new lesson of Abika, okay? Let's go.
Welcome, students watching. We're so glad you're joining us for history this year. My name is Miss Amsbaugh, and I will be your fourth grade history teacher. Each day when we start off history, we begin by doing two things. The first thing that we do is we pull out our history book. And you should probably already have this right there with you, but you'll have your history book. And then we'll open to the back to page 250. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Turn to page 250. In the very back of your book. And if you look, it says document memorization right up at the top. Our country has several important documents that we are going to be learning this year, and hopefully you'll be able to have them memorized after not too long. The first one that we're going to learn is the American's Creed. You're just going to listen as I read it this first time to get familiar with it. Listen as I begin reading. The American's Creed. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed. A democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states. A perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. The American's Creed. This is actually written by a man by the name of William Tyler Page. He entered a contest. Maybe you've entered a contest before. Maybe you had a piano contest, or maybe you had a singing contest. Well, he entered a contest to write creeds about America and about what we believed. And he did such a good job that his actually won. And it's an important document of our country, and we memorize it today. And tomorrow, our next lesson, when we start history, you're going to open up to this page, and we'll say it all together. So go ahead and close your history books right now. Just leave them right there on your desk. I love history. History is one of my favorite things because we're learning about things in the past that happened, interesting stories, maybe wars, maybe interesting events, and we learn about them so that we can learn more for the future. One thing we're going to learn off right at the beginning is about our government. Does anybody even know what a government is? Josiah, speak nice and loud. What do you think a government is?
The government is the people who make all the rules and the things.
Okay, very good answer. The government are people that are in charge of us. Our president is the head of our government. He makes laws. He makes decisions. Do you know that police officers work for our government? They help enforce the laws. They help make sure people are obeying them. You know, our military are part of our government. They're very important. They help protect us and keep us safe. That is all part of our government. One thing that we want to learn about is the word allegiance. Allegiance is showing us how we need to act towards our government. When I think of the word allegiance, I think of something that maybe you say a lot. Maybe you say it every single day at school. Maybe you've even said it before at church. And it starts off, I pledge allegiance. Who knows what I'm talking about? Kenton, what am I talking about?
Pledge to the flag.
That's exactly right. When I pledge allegiance, what I'm saying I'm pledging devotion or loyalty to my country. Say, what is devotion or loyalty? When I think of devotion or loyalty, I think of my dog. I had a dog, Cappuccino, because I love coffee, so I named the dog Cappuccino. And Cappuccino would do something. If I got the bag of treats and I shook the bag, do you know what that dog would do? She would come running around the corner because she wanted a treat. And she was very loyal to do that. And you know what? One time, I did something terrible. I got an empty bag, no treats in it. And I shook the bag, and she came running, and guess what? I didn't give her a treat. Now, did that dog just leave me and never talk to me again? No, my dog was still my friend because it was loyal. It showed devotion to. And even though I did something wrong to the dog, I should not have done that. The dog was still loyal and still showed devotion. You know, we should show devotion to our country. We should show loyalty to our country. That's what we say when we say I pledge allegiance. We're saying I'm going to be loyal to my country. I'm going to show devotion to my country. Another term that we will learn is the word documents. Now, this sounds like a big word, but you know what documents actually means? It means writings. So you could go home today and say, Mom, I have several documents. I have my math document from arithmetic. I might have a penmanship document. And those documents are just writings. Now, why are we learning about documents in history? Because we have many important documents that our country is founded upon, like the American's Creed that we just read. Those are all documents. So that's just a big name for writings. Let's read a little bit in our book. If you'll open up your history book to page 1, right at the very beginning. Page 1. And Isaiah, if you can start making your way up here. Right at the top it says, Introduction, One Nation Under God. I pledge allegiance. Listen as I read that brown box. I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Isaiah, if you'll begin reading right at that first paragraph for me.
Every school morning, students all over our land rise, face the flag of the United States, and with hand over heart, pledge allegiance to the flag. A pledge is a promise to do something. Allegiance means devotion or loyalty. When you repeat the pledge, you are promising to be faithful and loyal to your country, the United States of America. You are also saying, I believe that the flag stands for my country. I believe in a republic where the people choose those who govern them. I believe that our union of 50 states is united, not divided. I believe that God wants liberty and justice for all people.
Thank you, Isaiah. A pledge means a what, class? A promise to. Let's say that again. A pledge is a promise to do. Allegiance means what? Devotion or loyalty. Parker, if you'll come and start reading where it says this year.
This year, as you study the history of our United States, you will learn why we promise to be faithful and loyal to our country. You will learn how God has blessed America because of the principles, truths, for which America stands. You will learn to love these wonderful truths that our Declaration of Independence proclaims.
Thank you. Continue reading for me.
One nation under God. In the beginning, God told men to spread out over the whole earth. He wants people to live and work together as separate nations. People want to do their best when they are serving their nation. In time of war, people even die for their nation. By being willing to die for a noble cause, they show how very different people are from animals. They value not just life, but a noble life. Next to our love of God and family, nothing should be more dear to us than the love and respect we have for our nation.
Thank you for reading so well. Let's look at that brown box right above that paragraph that she just read. It says Principles of American Government. God has given all men the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Number 2, it is the job of the governments to make sure that these rights are not taken away from the people. Number 3, the government should not be so powerful that it could take away from the people these God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Think about it. What does that mean? Well, it's talking about as Americans and as people in any country, we should have the right to live. That's the right God has given us. So it's the job of our government to protect that. If somebody's trying to hurt us, The government should protect us. That's why we have police officers. That's why we have military. It says life, liberty. That means freedoms. We have the freedom of speech. We have the freedom of the press to write things down in books. That is freedoms that the government has given us. And our job of our government is to protect those rights and to make sure that nothing happens to mess up those rights. Continue reading for me.
This way it is easier for people to keep governments in control and serving the purposes for which God set up governments. Each nation has a language that all two people speak. People cannot live well together in a nation unless they speak a common language. It needs to be language with rules that everyone knows and follows. This is why we study English grammar in school, so we can learn the rules of our language in order to work with the people in our nation. People come to love their own language very much, and their common language helps them to become attached to their neighbors who speak the same language.
Thank you for reading. It's important that we all speak the same language. If we didn't, that's why God confused the languages at the Tower of Babel, so that people would be divided up into the different nations. And so our nation, we speak several different languages, but the predominant one is English. And that's because it helps everybody understand what is going on. That's why people learn the language when they come to our country. Gage, if you'll come and continue reading at the next paragraph.
This book is the story of one nation, our nation, the United States of America. You will learn how America came to be a nation, who its famous people have been, and what important events have taken place in America. You will learn some of America's great documents, writings, and you will learn how the truths of Bible made America the greatest nation on the face of the earth. This year, you will learn how America became one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Who can tell me what that means? Liberty and justice for all. What is liberty?
Liberty and justice.
It's a big word. Do you know, Gabrielle? Freedom. So we have freedom, justice, make sure people are enforcing the laws fairly, justice for all. Riley, if you'll come and continue reading at the top of the page.
Men have struggled for freedom and justice and the right to govern themselves. In many countries, people have never seen these wonderful ideas come true for them. But the government of America was founded on the wonderful principles that men are created equal and are equally deserving of liberty and justice.
Thank you. Peniel?
The people who founded our country, the founding fathers, said that these truths were so obvious and clear that everyone who heard them would naturally believe and understand them. This is why they said in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal.
Thank you very much for reading so well. So our government, if you learned today, our government's job is to protect our rights, to protect our freedoms, and to make sure that people are following them and that they're obeying them. What is a promise to do something? Sarah, do you remember?
Pledge.
That is exactly right. So when we say, I pledge allegiance, what is another word we could put in instead of pledge? Maddie, do you remember? Instead of I pledge, we could also be saying Kenton?
Promise.
Promise is correct. What word means devotion or loyalty? Remember when I was talking about my dog, I said it showed devotion or loyalty. It's a big word we use in a pledge. Paige?
Allegiance.
Allegiance is correct. What is another name for writings? Said you could go home and say, Mom, I have these. Gage?
Documents.
Documents is correct. Who can tell me one thing that you learned about government, one job that the government has that's very important? So if somebody asks you today, what is the job of a government? What could you tell me would be a job? Riley?
Somebody